Chris and Old, welcome back to Fearless in Devotion. I'm a little bit tired. I'm a little bit hoarse, but I'm very satisfied because I think that was a great weekend away. I really enjoyed going back to like a powerhouse like Bolton and giving a good account of ourselves. Look, we'll get into that. We'll get into a lot of that. I think we really need to lean into that because that just seems to me like a really sort of good big weekend in League One to really announce the fact that we're back. So sponsored by the Fat Ball as ever. Thanks so much for all your continued support, Rich, Mike Gwyn as well for helping us with our recent live night. We also have to mention the newsletter. I'm just going to put the code up so nothing can possibly go. What could go wrong? Tim, is there anything that could go wrong?
I don't know. It could say Andrew Gilpin at hotmail.com, andrewgilpin@hotmail.com, potentially.
There's no real need to
All
keep
correspondence to that address, please, because
no correspondence to that
I'll
address.
have to be hijacked by a man with funny glasses.
Yeah, so there you go. There's the Wrexham is the game QR code. It's the season started again now, so there's plenty to talk about and plenty to analyze and comment on, and really get into grips with the games. So please subscribe if you can. Really appreciate that. Before we get on to Bolton, I just want to mention something else as well. So we're having, there's a live night, an evening with Graham Souness, which is being organised by Neil Roberts. I'm just going to share you the info now. Bear with me. It's for a great cause. We can't actually say what the great cause is, but if you know, you know. And I think that's the most we can say there. So evening with Graham Souness, Friday the 30th of August. So coming up, 2-course dinner, Q&A, everything there. It's a good 6-hour event as well. So please try and take a table on that. There's some great auction prizes. I know for a fact that they've got a 91-92 shirt, which has been signed by all the players or most of the players there. So, some really good stuff. And it is for an excellent cause. Right. That is the preamble. Let's get into the main course. Bolton. We're back, aren't we, Tim? We're back in League One. It felt yesterday, like even though we got promoted in April last year, yesterday for me felt like I was back in League One proper.
Yeah, I mean, you compare it to our previous away day for Crewe. It's a little bit different, isn't it, in terms of the stature, the size of it all, the magnitude, and yeah, it was really, really good. And like I said the other day on X, these are kind of the away days that we've been craving for so long, and it makes it probably all those years in the National League made it that extra special, and that's why we're never taking these days for granted. We just lapped it up. You could see that on Sunday. I mean, the atmosphere was up there with one of the very best personally, just in terms of the singing non-stop, just backing the lads throughout. I just thought it was amazing. It was just a really good day, great stadium, two solid teams going head to head, and you can see why Bolton have always been up there or thereabouts. So, I think we've acquitted ourselves much better than maybe many people might have expected us to. Unbeaten, 4 points, great stuff. We could have maybe nicked it on Sunday, but yeah, everything about it was just great. It's just nice to go back to decent grounds. We've had all the air miles of going to places like Grays Athletic and Hayes and Yeading and all these places. Greatest respect in the world to them. I think for me, they're football grounds. Then you've got football stadiums, like what we saw. Bolton's ground was it's built in '97, so it's quite an oldish stadium in that respect now. But yeah, it still looks the bee's knees, and yeah, it was great. It's just everything about it was pretty special. Plenty more of those days.
Talking about special, I just want to share a video again. Now, this was put on the Fearless, and I just want to sort of noise on this.
Does that come through on the pod? Because I can't hear it.
Now, for me, that's pretty spine tingling to sort of have that sort of level of noise in a grand old ground like that. I mean, the acoustics were brilliant, but in many ways we took it over. I mean, Liam, you sort of watched it on the telly. How did the atmosphere come across for you?
It was noisy as hell. Yeah, my family were watching it. One of my cousins is over from Australia, so we're having a bit of a party and a gathering, and there was a few of us in the front room watching it, and it was just that moment where it was a Wrexham our back moment. Just hearing all the fans, hymns and arias was incredibly loud. I think Bolton fans might have thought that was the Welsh national anthem because they started booing
No,
it.
they booed that, and then they booed the Welsh national
Oh,
anthem.
okay.
Don't worry, there
So,
was double booing.
so they weren't discriminatory, they just
Oh
booed
no, no, no.
everything. Oh, fair play to them. But I was thinking about it afterwards, and it just sort of brought it all home when you think let's put it how it is. We had our status robbed from us in terms of our League One status, with the points deduction and whatnot, taking us nearly 20 years to get back there. I mean, I think if I'd actually been in the ground, I don't think I would have had a dry eye left, because just when you
How
look
many eyes
around,
you
and,
got?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Okay,
too many.
right.
But it was just quite that emotional moment, and like you say, that's when we're back where hopefully we belong and hopefully we can stay now.
Yeah. Andrew, it's all well and good coming back there, having a good atmosphere, having a good sing song, but if you get dicked 4-0, it's a bit of a hollow victory. Isn't it more appealing the fact that we gave such a good solid display in only our second game back in League One?
Yeah, absolutely. And also it was nice to see that, as we've become accustomed to in the last few years, if we don't win every single game, 2, 3, 4-0 in spectacular fashion, people moan. And coming out of this, like, to me, it was a fantastic point. It was a great performance all around. There's obviously a few standouts that I'm sure we'll get into, but the fact that coming out of that, no, I've not seen it. I don't want to manifest it into existence, but yeah, I've not seen any moaning, like any oh god, it's only a point. No, it was a great point. It felt big time. And even when you go back to when we were in League One the last time, a team like Bolton is probably feels even bigger than that. So to be our first away game back in the league, yeah, it was good. It was emotional watching it from home. I mean, it's emotional already this season. There's I'm sure you won't mind me saying this, a certain fish cake enthusiast who was very emotional at the Wickham game, giving me a big hug just to see League One football. And to
That
then
was
you
more
go,
to see you, wasn't it?
no, I don't know. I don't think anyone gets too emotional about seeing me. I wouldn't go that far, but there was some intense hugging, and just some good vibes about being back in League One. And so yeah, to go to places like Bolton, that is what it's all about. And what, 25,097 fans there. Great effort from Bolton, great effort from Wrexham, and that front. I was working unfortunately on Sunday, so I had to watch the first half at home. Then quickly at halftime, made a little dash to town to watch it in a bar, which was a nice atmosphere. It was a good atmosphere. So yeah, massive point for us.
Tim, do you what Andrew just said then about there's no moaning about a 0-0, because I think everyone in the ground knew that was a good point and knew that we can't overreach. Tim, do you think that the fan base is getting more educated about what is actually good, and they're not sort of thinking that we have to win every game by right? And what I mean by the fan base is, yeah, we're picking up a lot of North Walian fans who Wrexham used to be their second team, but now they're maybe ditching Everton and Liverpool and coming to us. And I also mean that from an international sort of standpoint as well. That nothing on Twitter is saying, "Well, why didn't we beat these?" or anything like that. Not everyone sort of knew and were with us. That's a fantastic point.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I was thinking about this yesterday, and obviously just going back to the newsletter, I wrote a piece in the newsletter about the atmosphere, how I feel that maybe Wrexham fans don't even know it, but maybe they're kind of creating a new wave of terrace culture at the club, unbeknownst to them, just the way they're creating this vibe, this atmosphere, this special atmosphere that's being harnessed by everybody. And I think the reason that there isn't as many moans as maybe we're half expecting is because having that sustained success of back-to-back promotions has allowed people to go, well, whoa, hold on, we can't get too ahead of. I think there's a realism about this season. We talked about the consolidation stuff last week, and I think anybody who knows football to a certain degree can go, well, we're not expecting to do a third promotion this year, really. But if we can give a good account of ourselves, which I mean, we've spoken about this before. How many times has Wrexham really let us down under the new ownership? And probably a handful of times, if that, where you can truly go, that was awful. They're a special team. They're giving their all for each other. They're giving their all for the fans, giving their all for the management. And I think people can see that. And I think there is, dare I say it, touch wood, there's a much wider degree of patience for this team than maybe there ever has been before. And I think the reason there's so much patience is because
they've earned that.
They've earned that goodwill. Yeah. They've earned that goodwill. And I was thinking about it before, like when Cannon got sent off last year, and there was a couple of people, oh, I'm not so sure about that. But when he'd served his ban, everybody was singing his name again. So it's little things like that where everybody's getting behind everybody regardless, because they can see the bigger picture, and that bigger picture is they're not a team of mercenaries. These are a bunch of players that genuinely care about the project, if you like, and it's just a joy. And you know, that's why Sunday was so special, because there wasn't any gripes post game. It was like, well, if you really had to split hairs, you could say, oh, maybe there's a couple of players below par, but so what? Or, you know, if we'd have lost that game, would Parky have got it in the neck for chucking on Rathbone up front? You know, little things, but you know, that's if buts and maybes, isn't it? So it's just great. It's just great at the moment.
I'd say my one gripe I did have, as somebody who watched it from home and then from the pub, was the post-match interview where Arthur and James McLean both referred to it as the project. And I know it is the project. It's just like that word just makes me cringe. Yeah, and it's like, yeah. I understand the reality of it. And yes, it is a project, but just hearing it is like, oh, every time it gets said.
Nobody actually asked Arthur directly about the save that he made.
Yes.
The save. It's like, come on, hone in on the white. I know there's been a bit of a change behind the scenes with the media guys, but you know, come on, ask the obvious questions. We won't.
Yeah. You know,
well, let's move on to Arthur, because I wanted to sort of highlight 3 players, and they all actually happen to be new signings. And I'm going to class Arthur as a new signing because he is ours now. Now, there was a bit of criticism from me and perhaps you, Tim, last week about set plays, about maybe in the newsletter about how maybe he didn't come off and really command his line against like a big physical team like Wycombe. But we also... Okay, it was me. But we also knew that, and I also did say that this is work in progress, and he will get better as he learns about the league. Because I don't think he's played League One before, and I think Sunday was a real coming of age for me. I think for him that he could go away, take in the atmosphere, and produce, I would say, 2 outstanding saves, one especially brilliant save when it really mattered, but also just give that defence an air of calm that, don't worry, even give the ball back to me in a difficult situation, I'll deal with it. If I need to come out and grab something, I will. But I'll also trust you to get your head on things as well, and I'll be the last line on the goal line. I just think you really saw a very commanding and increasingly mature performance from Arthur. I know he kicked the ball straight out a few times at the end, which maybe could be down to a bit of nerves. But Liam, what did you think about his performance, and do you think that's the sort of benchmark he needs to set himself for the rest of the season?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the sort of display where it justifies why Phil Parkinson went to the owners in the summer and said, this is the signing we need to make first and foremost. I don't know what the figures are on it, but we can assume that he's getting paid pretty handsomely for it. But those performances justify it, because it was quite a scrap, that game, I thought. And I was worried that he was going to come under aerial bombardment. I was worried, there might be a mistake which knocks his confidence, but there was nothing of the sort, really. Like you say, his kicking occasionally not amazing, but I think you can forgive that after the saves he made, particularly the one from, I think it was the first one he made from Charles, just, unbelievable. That's why he is a difference maker in goal for us.
Yeah. I mean, Andrew, I know you're a big fan of Arthur and what he can bring. He's a keeper he can grow with us for the next 6 or 7 years, can't he? Well, I hope he doesn't need to grow anymore, because he is 6'6".
It's gone for like 7'2" in a few years. Yeah. No, yeah, it's one of those where he's very much like keeper you sign, and it's like the way that the project is kind of looking.
Sorry, you're shitting on your own bonfire here.
I am. That's why I
not-
did the air quotes. I did the finger quotes because it was like, I hate saying
Okay,
this, but
fair
yeah,
enough.
the
All
way
right.
that the project is going, then yeah, he perfectly fits the remit for that. The fact that his age, his ability, his potential is that sort of keeper where, regardless of what happens with us, he is going to be going higher and higher. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does end up playing in the Premier League someday. Hopefully that is with Wrexham, but it's a sort of, it was very much a statement signing in the summer. I know it was one that, as mentioned, Parky had been keen to get over, and he'd been badgering the owners for a while that even if we have to break the wage structure for this player, this is somebody that we need to get. We've done all the analytics on him. We've done all the deep dives into what makes him tick and analyze where things can go with him. And like basically the ceiling is the potential is the ceiling. The ceiling is where am I going with this? The ceiling is the
Well, I can touch the ceiling quite
limit.
easily. So
Yes,
yeah.
the ceiling is the limit.
You can go
for him.
past that ceiling.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to talk about, Tim, and it involves another new signing that I think has made a bigger impact. Now, when you go up a league, there's also certain things that catch you out, or you takes a while to adapt. I think in League Two, it was the pace of it. I think every team just happened to be a little bit quicker than the National League, and I think it took us a while to sort of get that. I think yesterday it's speed of thought, and what I mean by that is the Bolton players are still quick, but they just have it in the back of their head where the ball may drop and what they might do with it as soon as they get it. And when they were really on top of us, that's what they were doing. They were shifting play and shifting us around, and we really had to hang on. Now, I think one player who can do that for us and can maybe bring the rest of the team with him is George Dobson, who has that sort of nous. Now, a lot of our players have played League One or even higher, but they haven't played it together as a unit, and I think that's what George will be quite key to sort of knit us all together. How do you sort of see his performance, not just against Wycombe, but mostly against Bolton? Because it was a different type of game where we weren't on the front foot, but he was standing up and being carried, wasn't he?
Yeah, I just think he breaks a play really well, and we've had a lot of midfielders in the past where they pick up the ball and it's either left or right. We'll offload it left or right. It's never like a diag forward. And with him, there was a couple of times where I think two players closed him down. He just got out of it. I think there was a bit of a cheeky kind of Cruyff turn at one point, or I can't remember what it was, or there was some sort of techers in the middle there. And I just think he brings, as well as like some fierce tackling, he brings like an air of calmness, I think, to that midfield, which can sometimes get a little bit ragged around the edges. I just think he just brings something. He's quite a leggy player.
He's got a curved spine. I don't know how he bloody moves.
He's got a strange running gait. Somebody mentioned that in the preseason friendly, that he's got a very strange running gait, like he's kind of almost like a bit of a like a humpback. It's a bit strange, but
it's like a bigger Craig Bellamy in a way.
Yeah.
He's our very own Richard III as at the base of midfield. If you are listening, George, we're only joking, but it is quite a strange sort of movement. But fuck me, it's effective.
He's good, and there's he made a couple of strange passing choices yesterday, but that was very much in the minority. Most of the stuff he got spot on, and he's just an all action midfielder. I don't think we've maybe had that Elliot Lee to a point, but I just feel the only thing missing at the moment from obviously Dobson's game is goals, and that's going to come. It's only 2 games in, but yeah, he's definitely a midfielder that's it excites me in terms of what he can bring, and he's settled in so easy. He, along with maybe Mullin and McLean, have the definitive game face. Like he literally, he's quite a bit of a joker, sort of Essex boy. As soon as you stick him on that pitch, he's just wallop, like dead in the eyes. He's on it from the get go. So I love that. Just quickly about Arthur as well. A great performance, but I think. I know it's very, very, very early on, but do not be surprised if some of the thinking came into his head that how well Callum Burton did at Sheffield United, which we will come to, but Callum Burton had an exceptional game, and when you've got another young keeper there pushing you, you're going to think, well, I have to prove to myself I'm number one because he's had a good game. So there is an element of that being pushed as well.
Yeah, I think on the George Dobson topic, I said it last week, and I feel like I'm going to be saying this again a lot throughout the season. Busy bastard, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's just he seems to be everywhere. But I thought the game against Wycombe, he seemed to be everywhere and was winning lots to the ball. But I thought yesterday, as Tim mentioned, it was a lot of the composure, while also because again, to touch on his running style, it looks like chaos when you watch him, but it's very calm, it's very composed, it's very effective, there's a crispness to his game when he's on the ball. There are one or two stray passes, like Tim mentioned, but for the most part, just seems like a hell of a signing that could be he will be a massive player for us. And it's interesting what you say about like the last kind of real box to box, all out, all energy midfielder we've had, and it is you think back, Elliot Lee does cover a lot of that. But then you go back past that, and I guess Dean Keats,
sort of
Jay Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay Harris. I mean, yeah, Dobson and Rathbone. I mean, when Rathbone especially came in, I sort of thought to myself, well, we don't need another midfielder. Why are we getting another midfielder? Spend that money on a striker. But then I thought back to a season, probably about 2011, where I thought we had enough midfielders, and they brought in Jay Harris. I think Saunders brought in Jay Harris for some reason. And I thought, well, this is a waste of time. And he turned out to be our best midfielder. So I can't really second guess that. I mean, I think Rathbone will, from what I saw, he is full of energy. And I think eventually, I think he may look at that cannon role, Dobson, Rathbone, and I think Lee will get a stay in execution, even if he wasn't brilliantly effective yesterday. He did cover a hell of a lot of ground. And I think that's the good thing about that midfield. I mean, it will not stop working. And add Rathbone into that, you've got another dimension there as well. I want to talk about another player before maybe slightly touching on a problem, because really and truly we did quite well, but we didn't offer a lot the other way. But I'm going to get onto that, because another player I want to sort of bring in is Seb Revan. Now, am I saying that right? Is that the industry standard? Are we going Revan?
I'm going Revan.
We're going Revan.
I'll go Revan. Yeah, why not? I think you set the standard here, Gilpin.
I like the idea of Revan because it sounds exotic, but apparently it's Revan.
Revan.
Yeah, Revan.
Okay.
Let's just when Revan will be screamed out in Phoenix Nights.
Revan sounds very exotic, so let's go with that.
Yeah. Sounds like a French cafe.
Or like he's the replacement bassist for Duran Duran or something.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Revan. He started on the left against Sheffield United, probably our best player, scored to boot. Came on the right, and it shocked a few people. I couldn't really work out the team. I didn't know who was going to be left, who was going to be right. I thought it was a bit harsh on Ryan Barnett, who didn't do anything wrong in the first game against Wycombe. But one thing that did impress me about him is he's so quick. It makes his defensive game a lot better, because he can easily get back. And there was a few, especially in the first half, a few sort of crunching tackles he's made last minute, getting back and stopping people getting crosses on the bylines. And that's what real, genuine pace brings you. I don't know if he's going to be better on the left or on the right, but I actually think we've got a hell of a player there. I think we've got another player who can really sort of develop. I can't really see him dropping out the team now. Liam, what do you think? I think he's acquitted himself so well in these last two games. It's going to be hard to shift him, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we've been crying out for a bit more pace in the side for God knows how long, haven't we? And that's what he brings to the team, as well as a decent age profile, decent pedigree. I'm led to believe.
What about XG? What about XG, Liam? Does he bring?
Don't start me on XG.
I'm all about the XG.
Don't start me on XG. But I've heard that he played right wing back. No, sorry. Which way did he play today? Right wing back. Yeah, so he played that role at Rotherham. Yeah, he played that role at Rotherham on several occasions last season, so he can play both. I mean, clearly he's a left-footed player, so he's going to have to come inside a bit when he's in that role. But I just think his pace offers us something else. There was occasions yesterday where we weren't getting much of the ball, but when we were able to get it out to him, that was the outlet that we had, and that was our main threat coming down that wing. And I think I'm really hopeful. It's hard to say that, you get yourself excited about these players sort of close season, early season, but all the signs so far are that we've got a player who could be quite special for us. And I was worried a little bit after the Sheffield United game, because I thought he got exposed on a couple of occasions, but then, you remember that some of those a lot of those are championship players that he was up against. And also, I think did he have Boyle in in alongside him
Oh,
as well.
don't blame Will Boyle for it. Can't blame Will Boyle.
Well, no, but the one thing that does help though is if you've got a faster centre back alongside you as well, you have got better cover there. But I actually did like the fact that he put a few strong tackles in as well. I do want to see that from a wing back as well as being able to get forward.
Yeah, I think we've got someone pretty special here, and I think we celebrate any sort of pace in the side.
Yeah, I mean,
but
look at last season though as well. There's times when Mendy would play on the right as a very, very, very predominantly left-sided, left-footed player, and it worked at times. And other times it doesn't. It's great to have pace in there, and you can almost forgive someone maybe if there are any defensive frailties because they offer so much going forward. You think of Mendy when he's been playing on the left, even going back to say Curtis Obeng, who was. I think Obeng technically is a lot better than Mendy, but Revan has that where it's not just about the pace. There is technical quality there. Even if defensively he might get caught at times, I think it kind of counterbalances what he brings going forward. And again, I mentioned it a few weeks ago. It's like you look at that team and it's like, well, if he has to play all the time, then you weigh up that thing of like, well, who drops out? Is it he just goes on the right and say Barney misses out or Ford misses out or Bolton misses out and Bolton on the Regal preseason? Or is it you look to move James McLean somewhere else? But the good thing is there's options. There's options all over the place.
Yeah, I think he's going to make room for James McLean at any time he can. I think that's been quite evident. And I think actually McLean acquitted himself really good. So that's good grammar, isn't it? Really well on the left hand side. I love that bit of skill in the second half where he sort of scissor kicked it out. Yeah, it's like
only mild shithousery as well. I expected a bit more shithousery, I'll be honest, with the rivalry Wigan and Bolton.
Tough shithousery. I think it's known as after his Insta post. Anything to say on Revan, Tim?
He's got the Carlos balance. That's what it reminds me of.
That's bold, Tim. That's bold.
Carlos balance and tight. He's just got that low center of gravity. And in Carlos used to skip past players almost like balletic style, kind of like his arms all over the place, like that Freddy Krueger scene, the headlong arms waving all over the place. He's got something about him, and it just reminds me of that. There was a couple of times on Sunday, he just left a couple of players with dust, just got around him on the byline, flew past him, stuck it through his legs. I think he popped it through his legs and went around him. And wingers are there to excite you, aren't they? They're there to sort of get you off your feet, really, and pepper the ball into the box. So I just think, we're onto a winner with him, and he's already shown.
I do.
He's already shown
contract length. Is that a 3-year deal?
And you think, and if you think, this is still early doors, really, for him, he's really going to come alive. So, a few more games in, scored a decent goal against Sheffield United. Could have had a hat trick, really. I mean, there was that time where he had no right to get to the ball. The defender in front of him, and he hooked his foot around it and almost nestled into the bottom corner. So I like the fact he chases down lost causes, doesn't give up the ghost of anything, full of running. It takes something extraordinary for him to be subbed through exhaustion, because he's just full of boundless energy, isn't he? So yeah, great stuff from him so far. Keep it up.
Yeah, I like sorry, Andy, go on.
No, the only thing I was going to say is towards the end, we burst, and chances were at a premium, but we burst free, and he got the ball and he made the wrong pass. But I'm going to forgive him that, because he'd put so much of a shift in, and also he played 2 games in a week. From coming in cold. I mean, there's more to come from him in both ends of the pitch, I think.
But that's a hard pass to make, and just the kind of the downside, I suppose, if there is such a thing, about going to these grand stadiums and having these wonderful elevated views, is that we can see the pass on probably way before the player can, because we can see it and go, do it, give it away. And when it doesn't happen, it's like, oh, you should have done it earlier. So I think that there's sometimes an element.
Point. It's a really good point, actually.
It's true, isn't it? It's like we're looking at it with kind of FIFA spectacles on. It's like we can see that there, and there, but you can't. But we're not on ground level. That's why.
That's the good thing when they do make the pass, because you see it and it's just like you see it play out in glorious, full glory. I also like the Freddy Krueger reference. That'd be Tina in the first Elm Street film, and he's chasing her down the alleyway. But yeah, you seem to be in this. I think Phil Parkinson has clearly taken influence from Dennis Smith by all accounts, because Tim's compared Dobson to prime Darren Ferguson, and now we're getting Carlos Edwards. It's a 3-5-2, and that's some of the greatest football I've seen at Wrexham. So
who's Paul Barrett?
Oh, Rocky Barrett. He did well for us, a good servant, because you'd have Darren Ferguson and Jim Whitley, and then there'd be that spare role of, is it Steve Thomas that comes in? Is it Paul Barrett? got us promoted. It worked. I'll take it. Who is Paul Barrett? That feels like an existential crisis question of like, who is Paul Barrett? Like we're sitting down with him in some kind of psychiatrist's office.
Right, let's move on. Because
Yes.
I love Paul Barrett chat, and I could talk about Paul Barrett all day. And I just love the fact that any time there was ever a story about Barrett doing anything, the leader's headline was always Barrett Holmes in. So that's worth something. Barrett Holmes is a construction company for anyone from North America.
They don't sponsor us. So
no, God, no. I don't even.
So we're not getting any sponsorship off them. No,
this isn't a paid advert. No,
I don't even know if they exist anymore. Right. Look, as I said, chances were at a premium. Right. It was hard to sort of really put them under pressure, basically because of how good they were, but they squeezed up a lot. And Ollie Palmer does Ollie Palmer things. What you want Palmer to do is occupy a defender and really, get to grips with them. And I think he did that very well. And I think he won some important headers, but he is not the most mobile of forwards. So you have to think about who was going the other way. Well, it was always just going to be Marriott. And it just becomes a little bit easier to defend when one centre forward will do one thing and the other is the only one that's going to stretch you. So while I still have a lot of love for Palmer and he's been very effective for us, I do sort of think that maybe League One is a step too far for him. And while it pains me to say that, I do think you probably need something else up front. First off, am I right? Am I being too harsh? And secondly, is that where you're looking for the next sort of signing? Because I do think we'll make at least one more before the end of the transfer window.
I was awaiting the obligatory, do we need another striker chat to come in at some point? And
it's the only part of the team that might, with Molly now, it's even more sort of stark, but it's the only part of the team that may need a bit of a rejig. And it's the most important part because goals win games.
I thought, to be fair, it was Santos, a centre half for Bolton. I thought he had a really solid. He did not look fussed at all game. No matter what was going on, he's very calm, very composed. Just dealt with everything really, really well, and that included Ollie Palmer. As for whether we need another striker, again, it comes to who are we going to offload? I mean, who is going to go out? How many? Because I think. First game of the season against Wickham, I thought Ollie acquitted himself very well. I thought he had a good game. I thought Jack Marriott was excellent in that game. Obviously got man of the match because of his goal, which was kind of taken away from Max, that man of the match. I thought Jack Marriott against Bolton offered lots of running, put in a very good shift, impressed it in spells, but I don't know. I can't see us bringing in another striker. It's just because of the logistics of like who do you then? I mean, do you farm Ollie out? Is somebody that come in and take Ollie on the wages he's on? Probably not. Is he going to go for lesser money? Probably not. Is it Dolby that goes, who Parky likes? Fletcher's not going anywhere. Moles is on the way back. It's Marriott's obviously there. I don't know if there's room in that squad.
I don't think that's the question. I think if he had a chance to bring in a better player, it doesn't matter. He's not going to go, I can't bring in Tom Bradshaw because he might affect Sam Dolby. He's not going to give a shit. Parky is a pragmatist who makes decisions based on what he needs to get us out of this league. He probably doesn't think there's enough cutting edge there at the moment. And if he can bring someone else in, whoever gets left behind, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, if he puts
Jeez, like you talk about the Vietnam War or something now, Gilpo.
Yeah, gee. I do think
he's about the recycling. He's not going to care. Look, it's just a case that if he can get the right person in, the person he thinks can work well with Moles, maybe bring some what Ollie has as in presence, but bring in more mobility and more sort of. It doesn't even matter have to be about goals. It's about tying up the centre half.
Well, he tried Armstrong, didn't he? Tried to bring in Armstrong, which is who I think he thought was going to be that sort of man to challenge Ollie Palmer for his place. As we know, turned out we didn't get him, and you'd say in hindsight probably wasn't the man to. But that's what, look at all the players we're being linked with, the likes of Smith at Sheffield Wednesday, Bradshaw at Millwall. He wants that upgrade on the number 9 role. And I got to be honest, I don't like the fact that we're leaving it so late in the day. If we are going to sort
this agree with me then? We need a striker, yeah?
Yeah, totally. And it's that number 9 role. It's the Ollie Palmer role. We need an upgrade there because I think he's been a great servant for us, but ultimately at League One level, we need something a bit extra. a really decent physical striker who can really occupy a defence. And Ollie's done that for us the last couple of seasons, but I can see this being the one too far, if you like. So the only thing that concerns me is that we are leaving it so late in the window to try and get our ducks in a row in this. Do we end up with sort of nothing wrong with the Fletcher option? That's worked out quite well for us. And I thought when he came on against Bolton, he had a couple of decent shots, which made the keeper parry. There was just no one following in on it. But I don't want it to be that sort of, last choice sort of option again. I think it's a position
you
we need
want
to
to see
sort
a
out.
tweet with a big moon on it? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I'll cry if I see that moon again. I will cry.
Tim, I mean, I'm not for a second saying that Ollie Palmer won't have a part to play this season, because he will, because he'll have games where he really makes a difference, whether it being starting or coming on. But do you agree that we do need a starting centre forward to supplement or be the partner to either Mullin or Marriott?
Yes, 100%. And I'll probably change my tune quite quickly, because it was only a matter of weeks ago. I think, we're all right, but I don't know. I think Sunday just kind of maybe suggested that, without when you haven't got Mullin there, we haven't got that kind of, not star appeal, just somebody with that X factor up front who can really make things happen out of nothing. I know Marriott did the goal last week. How often is he going to do that? Don't really know. I know we started this episode about the lack of moans, but I think one of our good podcast YouTube commenters, Mike Hughes, likes a good whinge. I think he said,
behave. Mike likes a constructive
no,
criticism.
yeah,
I
it's
love
very.
Mike.
I think it was him who was mentioning about the runs Jack Marriott makes. So I thought, you know what, I'll take heed of what he said, and I noticed that on the Bolton game now, he runs in certain ways, and he runs into defenders as opposed to trying to get around them. And there was one occasion where the ball was up in the air, and you know straight away, and it's maybe an unfair comparison, but if that's Mullin, he's backing up into the player. He's trying to either win that foul or create enough, knock him off balance enough so you can spin him and get on his toes. And Murray didn't do that. So I think that there's an element where you just need a smarter striker, somebody who can really, really push Mullin and Palmer as a partnership. And let's face it, we've never had that. We've never had it.
Never needed it.
No,
yeah, but why would you? Why would, if you're, it's the kind of conundrum when, like, when Harry Kane was at Spurs, and there's always all the Tottenham fans are like, we need another top class striker. It's like, well, if you're a top class striker for that level, why are you going to go there when you know you're not going to start? I think it's a tricky one with us. Well, yeah, we need competition for Mullin and Palmer, say, but is somebody going to come in to be on the bench and try and I don't know, it's a tricky one. And also I think you've got to look at it financially. I'm not saying that, I mean, if we could sign some superstar striker to go alongside Moles or Jack Marriott, fantastic. But I think you've got to look at it like from a business point of view, where we have players we need to get off our books. We can't just not have so many players on X amount a week sat doing nothing, who aren't even registered in the squad because nobody will take them because they can't afford their wages. So it's a really tricky one to balance, because say somebody comes in for Ollie, then we've got someone on the bench or not even in the matchday squad who's on a very strong whack, who we're paying to do nothing and just be part of training drills. So I'm not against getting like a replacement for Ollie. I just think there's that wider conversation where this isn't just like Football Manager where we want that player, let's go and get him. You've got to think about the players who are still here at the club and what you do with them then, and the financial implications of them still being at the club. I don't know, maybe I'm being too potentially driven. But I know we've got lots of money and all that jazz.
Why don't you marry Ollie Palmer if you love him so much?
I've only got 3 kids by him, too, Liam.
I'm starting to think Palmer's going to end up playing like a slightly different role. I don't think he's the battering ram he once was. And the reason I was laughing at this segment to begin with was there was a part in the game yesterday where there's an aimless long ball, and Palmer chased it down, but his run reminded me, when you're late for the bus and you get to the bus stop, you see the bus going, and you do that sort of panicked run where you sort of stumble a bit. He did this weird panic stumbly run. It just made me laugh, and I just thought he hasn't got the gas. We've said that how many times before that we needed speed in this team. We've got speed throughout most of the areas now. Have we got it up front. Arguably, absolutely, probably not.
That's why he wants to, and that's why I think he will bring in a starting centre half, and I think he'll try his best to bring in a young, pacey front man for something different, whether it be from a Premier or Championship club. I think that's what he wants. I don't know if he'll get both of them, but I think that's what he wants to do. And as soon as he gets that, he will give the likes of Waters a loan move, but they'll pay most of his wages, and that's the way they'll get through that. Everyone wins. They get a player. Billy gets to play a bit more, and he doesn't lose out. That might be the same with Dolby as well. And I think Dolby needs to realise now that he probably does need a season away to prove his worth, and maybe dropping down one or two levels.
On that note about players being shifted out, whether on loan or otherwise, can we briefly mention Jordan Davis? I know we're last week we were saying he's probably kicked his last ball for Wrexham.
Brilliant free kick.
Yeah, and it's important not to get carried away. There's been a couple of people saying, "Oh, if he hits 12, 15 goals by January, surely we've got to get him back."
I'm pretty sure that was Andy last week. That was exactly what Gilbo said last week.
I
just said that was his only option back. If he hits that amount of goals and we have an injury crisis, that's his option. That's his way back.
It's been a very good start for him. He scored in the penalty shootout win in the Carabao Cup. He scored two cracking goals, lovely header, great 93rd minute free kick. We all know he's got that in his locker. So I think, as we've seen, Grimsby fans have already fallen in love with a lone player, which you're not supposed to do. I can testify to that with Arthur. So it'll be interesting to see how his season unfolds. But yeah, congratulations to Jordan for making a solid start at Blundell Park.
No, well done, Jordan. Okay, let's start looking ahead to Reading. I think we've put Bolton to rights as much as we can. I'm going to be absolutely honest here. I don't know a lot about Reading. I know Charlie Savage plays for them. I know they had struggled a lot last season through probably not a lot of fault of their own due to the points deductions they had, and they've started well this year. But they're a big club. They still play at the Majeski, which probably isn't called the Majeski anymore. But you know what I mean. It's the same as Bolton, really. It's a massive club and a great day out and a good setup. I actually think this could be a really hard test for us. And I wonder if we think we might have done the hard work with Bolton, but it might still be to come. I mean, Andrew, you play Championship Manager quite a lot. What do you see of this Reading team and some of the potential stars there?
To be fair, to clarify, it is very much Championship Manager that I play from 1998, so I have zero idea about the Reading team currently.
Oh, so Avian Vivash and A.D. Williams.
Nicky Forster's still kicking around, one of those, going back to that. You look at the start they've had, the 1-0 draw away against Birmingham, then they beat Wigan 2-0. It's a very encouraging start. It's one of those clubs that you can't not feel sorry for, especially as a Wrexham fan with Reading. They've got Dai Young, the owner, the chairman, who they've had points deductions, they've had fines, they've had wages not paid. He's now as well trying to sell their training ground to fund the day-to-day running of the club.
Buy it.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's like it's something that very much sadly mirrors a lot of the shit that we've been through over the years. So you have to have some sympathy for him. I mean, of course, when he comes to the race course, I hope we spank him. But it will be a big test. And I think you mentioned there about whether Bolton was the big test, and now it's like we take the foot off the gas. I think Parky's shown over the years that it will be straight back at it, especially with Steve Park in there.
He'll want to beat them because
exactly, absolute hero there. Yeah, exactly. An absolute hero there at that club. So again, it'd be interesting to see what reaction he gets there. It's almost like we're going through the Phil Parkinson season where he's been to Bolton at the weekend. Now Reading gets to come and see if they. Yeah, exactly. It's one for me where Reading. To me, they were always that kind of like a League One side, and fair play, they pushed on amazingly well. Last time we played them was back in the 2001-02 season when we got beat 2-0 both times, home and away. And it's a team that you kind of thought that maybe we'd never meet again, but just to where they got to in the Premier League and the fact we dropped to the National League. So yeah, it's another one for me where it feels very much like a classic League One fixture going back to the 90s. So I'm excited for this one.
Tim, what do you know about Charlie Savage? Obviously, he's played a few times for Wales. Is there potential there? He's a bit of a different player to his dad, isn't he?
Yeah, it's hard to quantify what he brings to the Welsh setup, really, because he played in the home friendly against Gibraltar, the racecourse. But I mean, the greatest respect, Gibraltar. I mean, they were awful. Any of us could have gone to that Welsh team that day and probably scored. So it's hard to figure out. Yeah, and I was surprised that he went to Reading. I thought maybe he would have aimed a bit higher, but again, it's a good kind of test for him to show what he can do. Again, I'm not going to compare him to Dobson, but he does have like a sort of cultured element to his game. He's quite composed on the ball, got a good shot on him, really good shot on him. I'm not sure if he takes their set pieces or not, but again, decent all action midfielder. Will want to prove a point because no doubt his family will be in attendance to watch him play. And yeah, it's bizarrely he's the only one. I had a look at their squad the other day, and usually 9 times out of 10, you look at any squad at whatever league you're in, you're bound to recognise some names, whether it's Michael Cheek or just somebody who's not necessarily played for us, but he's played against us and done quite well or something. And I looked at that Reading team without a word of a lie. They're an unknown quantity to me. I didn't recognise any of the names apart from Charlie Savage. They've got a lot of players from a lot of different countries playing for them. I literally have no idea. And that's what makes me nervous going into this game.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now.
I mean, read them out. I mean, maybe I need to do double take.
I can't pronounce names. Joel Pereira, Jay Dorset, T. Binden, Mabengwe, M. Craig, Charlie Savage. I think that's Lewis Wing.
Lewis Wing was the player of the season for him last year, so he's seemingly one to watch, I guess.
Is he a winger?
Captain. So they got
central attacking midfielder.
B. Elliott, who I'm taking to be Billy Elliott.
You can't even pronounce Billy Elliott. Jesus Christ.
That wonderful film based in Billingham. Billy Elliott.
Billy Elliott. Why was that so hard?
I have no idea.
The number 9. I'm not even going to go and try and pronounce his name if I can't even say Billy Elliott. And then Mahamdi Kamara, who was replaced by K. Arbaref. I don't know who these players are, mate. I'm going to be absolutely.
I'm dying on your arse here.
Yeah, this is great to watch.
Unknown quantity. The irony you had to read the Reading team was brilliant.
Hey, what are we reading into this, Liam?
I don't know. I mean, their form. I was surprised to see sort of how relatively far they've dropped, given they were in the Premier League. Well, it's probably a while ago now. I'm showing my age, but Reading were one of those teams that when I first started watching Wrexham, we were in the same league as them. So it's another one of those ones which not quite on the same scale as Bolton, but signals back where we are. I think I'm more surprised to see them where they are because I can remember the amount of times that someone said that we needed our own John Majewski Wrexham. That was always the thing, like, we'd need someone like that.
What's his name from Red Rose? Steve, remember him?
Oh, Morgan, yeah, that was always the thing.
Steve Morgan, why is he not bought us? What are you doing, Steve?
Did Steve Morgan date Cilla Black? There you go.
Yeah,
John Majewski's one up.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're at the mice, just a quick little plug here, as we are sponsored by the Fat Boar. If you're at the mice, go in on Saturday. Glenn Little is our pre-match guest, and there's a fantastic
Steve Morgan and the
no.
Black.
Surprise!
But he does have a fantastic
surprise. Fucking it's Cilla here.
That's it. He does have Glenn Little does have a fantastic Cilla Black story that I'm sure I'll be sharing with the room.
Oh,
hang on a second.
You must be going, Liam.
I'm actually excluded. I'm barred. I got a restraining order, so I'm only allowed sort of got to keep within a mile away of him. So I don't know how that's going to work if he's actually going to the game as well. That could be quite difficult to navigate.
Randy Randall.
Yeah, he's just a beautiful man. Just to stand in his presence is to feel love.
I mean, Andrew won't have much work to do on that one because.
Oh no,
he interviews himself.
Yeah, one question I asked him on his debut stop, and he spoke for 20 minutes without taking back. Amazing.
Right, should we tie this up with predictions? I think we've gone through most of it. Just had a thoroughly great weekend. Went up to Bolton the night before with my mate Joey, who's a Bolton fan. Met his brother Adam and my mate Chris. Went to karaoke till 4 a.m.
Brilliant. Genuinely, when I made notes for this, one of my questions was ask Gilpo about his weekend in Bolton.
No,
And
no,
now
it was great.
I
Yeah,
thought we
yeah.
missed it.
It was great. No, so we went up to Bradshaw, which is their sort of home sort of village. It's like, I don't know, the Roast in Wrexham, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit out of the way. A few pubs around there. But the karaoke was great because Joey sang Lionel Richie's Hello. And you're supposed to go, hello, like really elongate.
Yeah.
But he just got to the chorus and he was like, hello? Like he was answering the phone. Hello? Hello? And he wasn't meaning to do it. He just saw it up there and went, hello? And that was hilarious. I've got
Was he familiar with the song, or is this just like a
he
random?
was singing the rest of it all right, but he
All
gets
right.
the key bit, and he's
Did you
literally
sing?
answering the door.
Did you sing, Andy?
No, I didn't.
Oh, can we?
Like,
Can,
That's a lie. It's a lie. I reckon you sang. He just telling us.
I think
His
that.
face.
he sang
He's
"I Shot the
definitely
Sheriff" by Bob Marley.
I have sang that before, and me and Tim once sang the whole of Bohemian Rhapsody in the Old Swan with Blake. Remember that?
Bloody hell!
Yeah. God knows why we did that, and that's why Tim gave up the drink.
Probably, yeah.
And how was the shopping centre? Did you find it that our Bolton friend was on last week talking about?
It was across the way. It was like looking at me in the distance, waving to me. Could come to my M&S food hall if I have one. It was saying, but I didn't go there. Do you know what? Joey went some crazy way to the stadium, even though he's got local knowledge. So we only got there a little bit before kickoff, and I just wanted to get in there and get my seat. And it was also, what? It's nice when you go to a ground, you can get a beer easily. You're not queuing up for 30 minutes. So
you didn't sit in your allocated seat, did you, Andy?
I didn't sit in my allocated. You know why? Because it was dead in the middle and it was a great seat.
You didn't come in and say, excuse me, he's in my seat.
I know we've had this discussion about a lack of space at the tech end and this, that, and the other, and what the fans are in offers in comparison. At Bolton, yes, it's a considerably larger ground and a considerably larger away end, but the way they had it kind of sectored off. So there was a concourse for the lower tier, concourse for the upper tier, but the concourse was separated. So you would have a bar area for 2 blocks, then cut off, then a bar area for the next 2 blocks along. So you weren't literally, absolutely steamrolling hundreds of people in one area. So quite interesting. And on a plus to that, I can't remember which ground it was, but there was some e-bars that you can get now. Have you seen them?
E-bars.
Yeah, so
E-bar gum.
It's like, I think they're called e-bars, but I can't remember where I saw it. It was definitely at a football ground, but it's similar, like almost like vending machines, but booze.
Oh,
so
they wheel something else.
They wheel them in. You get your card. The point pot drops out. You pick your thing. It's like almost like a Costa coffee at a petrol station for beer.
Oh, it reminds me of a trip to London when I was 16 in sixth form, and obviously underage, and just using the vending machine to get beer. It was great. It was fantastic. It was a good old time. With you talk about the separated concourse bits, that's always frustrating in the Mill Road because you've got the 2 bars. You've got the one as you come in towards the top, and then you've got the one in the middle, the main one, and then there's a third one that just never ever is open. It's like, do something with this, even if it's just like for food or
E-bar.
It's just e-bar. Make it an e-bar. Throw 3 vending machines in there.
Don't call it an e-bar. That's a very different type of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't call it an e-bar.
Speaking
of bars, the scent, is that what you've just sent through, Liam?
Yes. Do you want a cream tea in the scent alongside the Welsh pool costume?
I mean, does the scent still exist? I remember that. You used to be a place people used to go, but now
used to be great. Pre-order your drinks, be waiting at half time. What a time to be alive.
I think the next sort of big kickoff is going to be which order are they putting the jam and the cream on the scones.
Is that a real thing? They are doing scones in the scent.
Cream teas, yeah. In the
my word.
Hot and cold drinks, Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Take your mum along, or your dad, or whatever. It's just they're monetizing another facet of the ground.
How many American fans are going to be knocking about the race course? Get them in there. Let them see some stuff.
In the absence of any official tours, whilst the season is ongoing, they've got the Welsh pool outfit there in a big glass case. Yeah. So that's getting people in straight away. We'll go and do that, and we'll get a drink and a cream tea, blah blah blah. So it's another way of getting people through the doors.
I'm going for like a cream tea or an afternoon tea. That's there's no natural light in there. It's just those fake
I'll
walls.
try it out. I'm going to try it out this week.
I'll
give you my hot review next week. My hot take on it.
Do we get a video review of that? I reckon.
I'll do a video. I'll bang it up and see what happens.
Come on, enough about cream teas because I really don't care. Let's do predictions for Reading. I'm going to go first. I think it's going to be tough, really tough. I'd love to say we're going to eke out a 2-1. I think if we bring in a new striker before Saturday, I think we will win 2-1. But I reserve the right to say it might be one each. I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1. Andrew, you go next.
Yeah, I'm going to go bold 2-0.
Yeah. Okay, Tim.
I'm going to go for the romantic option, and we're harking back to, I want to say, 1997 when Ian Rush made his debut against Reading and we won
3-0.
3-0. Yeah, I'm going to go 3-0. You know, because we're earning these clean sheets. It was such a good clean sheet today, such a good defensive performance, and you can see why he's brought all these defense-minded players in.
We're hard to beat, aren't we?
And just on that, a seriously underappreciated moment in that Bolton game. Max Kluwer's clearance off the line.
Yeah, everything Max did. He goes under the radar now, but that's because he doesn't drop big clangers. He just gets
that clearance is equally as important as Arthur's performance.
Yeah.
Simple as
Okay. Liam, last but not least.
Oh, I'm going to go bold. I'm going to go 3-1. I'm feeling good.
Right. Okay. 2-0 home defeat incoming. Right. Thanks very much. Enjoyed that, chaps. We are back, and I enjoyed it. Right. And it's goodbye from me.
Cheers.
Catch you later.
Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you.